Mr. Speaker, here's the framework through which you should view this debate. President Obama came into power while America was engaged in two protracted conflicts, while America's credibility in the Middle East and abroad had been hurt by people seeing images of American troops torturing Iraqis at Abu Ghraib, raiding homes all across. We tell you that in the case where Obama chose to discontinue these horrible interventions, where he chose diplomatic overtures instead of engagement with and boots on the ground, we'll tell you that he actually protected human rights. We'll tell you that he was able to promote global stability. We'll tell you that he was able to protect American interests, a point and a principle that was entirely unresponded to from Team Nepal. So we think they've largely lost the debate because they've been forcing onto Obama the burden of intervening in every single conflict that occurred during his time and being able to solve it. We think when they tell you that he should have intervened in Crimea, we'll ask that if you want to hold him to the principle of acting in every case and inaction being bad, whether he should have intervened against Russia or invaded Russia to protect Crimea. We'll tell you that those burdens are too high. We'll tell you that the way you should assess this debate is, did he make the right decisions and is the world a better place 8 years after? So a number of things. First, 3 points of clash. First, has Obama been able to bring out global stability? Secondly, has Obama improved human rights? And third, has Obama protected American interests? No, thank you. So first, on this idea of whether Obama has been able to promote global stability. So 3 things to talk about here. Firstly, we'll talk about withdrawal from conflicts and whether that has been right. Secondly, we'll talk about the consequences that they have on terrorism and ISIS. And third, we'll talk about diplomatic efforts, 2 in particular. First, the pivot to Asia, and second, the Iran deal, which we think are very important. So onto this first idea about withdrawal. Munshi gave you a number of reasons. No, thank you. Munshi gave you a number of reasons why Obama was constrained by domestic policy, right? The only response that we heard to this was actually given when the third speaker told us, oh, there were people like John McCain who wanted Obama to actually intervene. Why is this false? Firstly, we tell you that those people were largely defense hawks who were outvoted just empirically, right? We'll tell you that Obama, when he tried to intervene in Syria, for instance, wasn't able to get the votes. We'll tell you that this shows you that there was actually a large faction of American people who didn't support it. Secondly, we'll tell you, just based on popular opinion, Americans were absolutely anti-Iraq war. We don't think that Obama was in a position to do this. But we think this is then... No, thank you. We think this is then secondary to the second point about the consequences on terrorism, right? In which case we have to weigh their world against our world and what we were able to achieve. So let's look at their world, where America actually does stay in the conflict, right? Where they are supposed to maintain peace, and in that case they have boots on the ground, right? We'll tell you here first, we'll point out that when we challenge them and we tell them that you have all these images of Americans kicking in doors, they say, we only want technical assistance. Here's a fact. America has about 10,000 troops in Iraq and the Middle East right now providing technical assistance. They were there in the recent raid against ISIS in Iraq as well. So we think they need to deal with that. So what does their world look like then? They have to commit themselves to more military engagement that is actively harmful. On our side, why is it different? First, we tell you the US is able to cut its losses in areas where they just cannot expand. Unresponded to were points that Kate and Munshi gave you about how America just couldn't have control within Iraq to defeat ISIS, right? They were only in the green zone in Baghdad, and even at the time there were people literally rioting in the green zone and American troops could do nothing about it. Secondly, we'll tell you that the US is able to engage in the type of war that is needed, right? 3 things here. Firstly, we'll tell you that they were able to provide technical assistance to Kurdish troops and Shia militants. The people who would actually be able to hold cities in Iraq, right? We don't think that had American troops stayed in Iraq and intervened against ISIS, they would have been able to hold those cities, right? Because people are only going to accept somebody who's legitimately holding those. Secondly, we'll tell you Obama has pioneered the intelligence sharing that is needed to fight ISIS, a point entirely unresponded to. Third, we'll tell you that Obama has actually been able to direct the FBI to fight ISIS at the point of initial recruitment, right? I.e. propaganda. What does this mean? 3 things. No, thank you. We'll tell you, had Obama stayed in Iraq, we would have had all the harms of perception but 0 benefits. Secondly, we'll tell you on the second layer that we were able to preserve political capital that we spent in other areas, pivot to Asia. Third, we'll tell you that Obama had we tell you that had Obama been able to fight the war on ISIS, that would have actually legitimized all the anti-American influence that we do see. So, I'm happy to,
the fact that Parliament, which constitutes of legitimate politicians, saw that Obama's policies were wrong, don't you think they were actually wrong?
No, actually they didn't. We'll tell you that there was no concerted effort to stop Obama from actually withdrawing in Iraq. We'll tell you that when he did withdraw in Iraq, even Fox News said it was a great thing, right? Which tells you something given America's partisan divide. Now on to this next thing, which is the third thing within this. We'll tell you about the diplomatic efforts of America. So first, on the pivot to Asia, why would we rather have Obama's foreign policy on our side? First, we'll tell you, in response to all the stuff they tell us about Pakistan, we were actually able to choose better allies, right? We'll tell you that Pakistan is actually run by like a rogue military regime that never actually supported America's like interests in many, many cases, right? We'll tell you that they were just able to act within the areas and they didn't actually fight the Pakistan in the other one. No, thank you. Secondly, we'll tell you that we were able to back Japan and promote pacifism, right? Had America not backed Japan against China, we'll tell you that we would have actually got a lot of harms with China arming up. Arms of like, and like they need to deal with the whole disarmament thing. But we'll tell you on a third layer, we were actually able to use China to promote like global peace, right? We'll tell you that when China set up the Asian Infrastructure Development Bank, America was able to allow them to do that, and that was totally fine. So we don't think that pivot to Asia is a big thing. Secondly, we'll tell you on Iran, right? We'll tell you for all the reasons that we give you, Israel and Saudi Arabia were the biggest beneficiaries, right? From like the Iran agreement, something they haven't dealt with. And insofar as they say that we don't know what actually happened, we'll tell you we do, right? We know that Netanyahu was constrained by like right-wing politicians within his own party, like the Israel Beckenu, and he had to in fact put up like a broad face against it, even though we think that Iran not nuking like Israel is a big benefit for Israel, right? Okay, so why have I spent so much time on this? Why is this the most important point in the debate? Well, I'll tell you that we were able to view the fact that on our side we were able to get a foreign policy that was in fact like more beneficial for like global stability, right? Things that they haven't dealt with. We were able to tell you that we were able to get a foreign policy that, that actually pivots to the things that America needs. So on to the second point, on how Obama has improved human rights. Firstly, all the things they tell you about human rights in the Middle East. We'll tell you that they were better protected, A, by virtue of America not intervening and not having all the harms of America, like all like the collateral damage that comes in when America intervenes, like things they haven't responded to. Secondly, we'll tell you that in fact when you tell us that Syria, Bashar al-Assad was slaughtering civilians, two things. Firstly, we'll tell you that the chemical weapons, he got those chemical weapons out, right? Secondly, we'll tell you that we had Russian backing against America, right? And insofar as America had intervened in Syria, it would have been fighting a proxy war against Russia with limitless resources from Russia in a protracted conflict. Like A, that's Cold War II. B, like that just never ends, right? And that would have meant a lot more deaths on your side. That would have meant like, given the angle of ISIS as well, that would have just been ridiculous. Now you need to weigh this against where we did get human rights benefits on our side. First, we'll tell you in Libya, we actually prevented a Gaddafi-backed slaughter of like literally the entire population of Benghazi and East Libya. Things that they haven't responded to. We'll tell you that even when there was a power vacuum, Obama has been the first person to back the Arab League in negotiations to stabilize Libya, to get a national transitional council, things that they need to deal with. Secondly, we'll tell you on disarmament, right? They can't just sweep this out of the way, because we'll tell you that it's absolutely important that we don't have countries with nuclear weapons, especially if they tell you that we have like, you know, a lot of non-state actors especially acting now, right? But then on this third point that we'll tell you, on whether Obama has protected American interests. So firstly, absolutely no engagement on their side on this, right? They didn't engage with the principle that Obama's foreign policy should have been geared to some extent to like America, right? Because Obama has a national duty as the executive of like the American people, right? But we'll tell you in this case, you need to view the long-term benefits that we get on our side, right? Things that they can't respond to. We'll tell you about global warming. They can't get away with saying global warming happens in the long run because global warming impacts millions of people. This is a legacy-defining moment for Obama, right? You need a president who can overcome the challenges of like not being able to come up with a global warming of like a treaty. Obama has been able to do that. Centuries later, if we do actually deal with like global warming, we'll tell you that Obama will be in the history books as somebody who was able to get China to the negotiating table and deal with global warming. These are long-term harms that accrue on their side, and these are benefits that accrue on our side. So we'll tell you that we actually win this debate because we've proven to you that in the short run and long run, Obama did all the things he needed to protect global rights and stability.